so happy that we're all working together in this movement. But the challenge with not being connected to a denomination is succession. In a denomination, they will put somebody to take your place. Now, truth be told, I've seen them put the wrong people in. My pastor, who was an apostolic leader in a particular Pentecostal denomination, and they put a person in that had no apostolic grace on them. And he lasted a short time, and successive leaders ran it down from a church of about 2,000 to 150. But thank God it still had a denomination behind it. Maybe it would have fell apart if he wasn't part of it. And so the strength in the independent movement is that we're not limited by wineskins that are not apostolic, but we have to have foresight and train several apostolic or sodal leaders so that the revolution can continue, the missional revolution can continue. And a lot of times, all these denominations, even the Methodists, they start off as an apostolic movement and they become a static institutional movement because they don't appoint apostolic leaders, they appoint good administrators in the second and third generation. So we need to keep our movements going, but it's a long-term process of having not just one person, like Paul trained up Timothy, 2 Timothy 2:2. We all look at that as just discipleship, things you've heard from me, the presence of many witnesses, pick faithful men who are able to teach others, but that's one apostolic leader to another. I think he was talking about raising up other apostolic leaders to Timothy, not just elders or disciples. And so Paul had more than one person. He didn't have his eggs in one basket. And at the end of the day, only Luke and Timothy stood by him. A lot of those people left. So if you just have one person, that you're planning to take your place at 10 years, that might be a mistake. And maybe God, I don't know, but I think we should always have a collective of leaders and see how they pan out.
That's great advice. I don't know that I've heard people state that before, that there should be a whole plethora of people that you're raising up to do different things, and then selecting from among those people really gives us more than just that single choice. I think that's really important. Another thing I'm going to ask you about that I think is important in succession, much of the attention is normally given to the person that is going to take your place, which it should be. But speak to the people around that person. Like, for instance, I've seen situations where the same good old boy network that the senior leader put in place is still entrenched in place when the new guy comes. And then you're expecting the new guy to work with this old entrenched kind of system around him, which is not just systems, but also human beings. So what were you able to do to kind of have a flexible system? Did you put new people in place, let's say in eldership or whatever the terminology may be that you use, to allow the new guy to come in and maybe put some of his own people in place?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it depends on how ready your successor is. Like, if your successor doesn't have a lot of experience, you still have to be hands-on for several years. Maybe have a 3 to 5 year plan. Some of my friends have done that with their sons, their spiritual sons. And but if somebody is very mature, like yourself with US Cal, I think that the previous leader should just let them lead, not get involved, and just move on. And if you want me in a meeting, I'll be there. I probably need to be in the annual business meetings, but you just have to do that. Like what I do with my son, Justin, I know he's ready. So I haven't been in any elders meetings, no trustee meetings. I've just let him lead. And he asks for my advice, or some of the elders, of course, they'll keep in touch with me. We'll talk about a few things, but you got to let them lead. And he has his own leadership team that's coming alongside ours. Through the years, I've also tried to put in younger elders, younger leaders, so that there's a balance, because all these elders I put in 30 years ago. They're baby boomers. Some of them may not be alive in 10 years. I mean, I don't know. Or some of them may move as they get old, they have more options, they retire. So if you don't continually raise up new leaders, you're asking for trouble. Your church is in trouble. So we have a good balance of younger leaders, business leaders, and non-business leaders. And um, I think that was one of my main jobs, was raising people up into eldership or some kind of capable, mature leadership so that we can continue to grow and expand.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I was not actually aware of all of that history. So succession, obviously a big deal in independent churches. Let's kind of close with talking about AI. I know that there was a table that you had online about AI. I knew about the conference that was coming up about AI. A lot of us are trying to figure out, if you remember the Terminator movies, that's exactly the thing that was at the core of the movies in the future. And it's now, the future is here. AI is a powerful tool. And I've kind of played around with it and asked it to write some things and to give me some soliloquies on certain subjects and poems on certain subjects. And it's pretty incredible what AI is able to do. Now, we hope the tools get into the right hands and they're modified in such a way to keep them from something terrible. So, can you give us kind of a synopsis of what that conference was about and maybe some conclusions that you drew?
Yes. Well, I have a friend, when you're doing conferences, you meet a lot of people. So I met somebody when I did a conference for ACAL about 10 years ago, whose father hosted the meeting. And he's a global economist and also a genius when it comes to technology and even startups and business. And through a series of conversations, we formed a entity called Matrix AI for the church world. I'm sorry, for the business world, and Kingdom Innovations for the church world. And we do regional summits. And we just did our first one, our beta summit in Valdosta, Georgia. And basically, we show the difference between narrow language model AI, which we have now, general AI, which we are on the precipice of coming into. And that's basically when AI achieves almost sentience, where it has some kind of human intelligence equal to ours. And then eventually it could all lead to super intelligent AI. And that's the Terminator kind of thing, where it acts on its own, it's autonomous, and it'll be the first time in human history that there's another intelligent being smarter than humanity. And so I had a burden on me about 6 months ago to start preparing the church for AI. Nobody knew what was coming. And I had a word from the Lord. And that's when I asked this young man, Elijah Lowe, who we formed this collective, to begin doing teachings on it. So we did it with various apostolic tables and an international table with people with continental influence. We did 2 tables with them. And in the conference that we just came out of, we not only presented uh, the burden that we have related to preparing the church for AI, but we also gave practical tools related to whether it's accounting, whether it's transitioning young people into AI or your business into AI. So there's so many categories we put together, and then we match them with technological tools so people can get right into it. And then we have a coaching service that we could help people continue on whenever they need our help. And so it's a comprehensive plan we put together just in the last 2 months. And we're also, without mentioning the name, partnering with a huge media company, put it that way. And we're exploring ways that we're going to get this to the whole world. So everyone's been pretty blown away with our presentation. My focus was on challenging the church. I would frame the conference with showing how the church has shaped all of Western civilization and now the world, and not the least of which was producing the greatest scientists that have given us AI, basically. Not that the scientists who gave us AI are Christians today, but without the work of Christians who were committed to discovering the creative natural laws of God, starting from, even the 12th century, with something called scholasticism that led into what's called the Enlightenment. Without Christians being involved in this line of work and discovery, we would never have empirical science that developed computers, internet, and now AI. And so I challenge the church, don't be afraid of AI. This is our legacies. Well, let's redeem it. Let's get gatekeepers in to train AI with a biblical worldview. Let's get our young people in. And if we drop the ball on this, it could be a disaster, because there'll be other people without a Christian worldview who'll be making fundamental decisions that'll guide civilizations moving forward. So that's my burden, and that's why we exist now.
Yeah, that's a tremendous, and a lot of people are unaware of the history, really, and the undergirding of the church, or at least what we might say a biblical philosophy, biblical foundation in the sciences. That even the extraction of God out of a pantheistic view, which pre-Christian Europe had, and making God separate than his created universe, allowed them to think of studying the creation, and even the fact that studying that creation was worthwhile, and there is good, the possibility of good from coming out of studying nature and the human body, and those types of things, actually was all part of bringing Europe together under Christian ideas and Christian morals and Christian ethics. And so you hear so much of the really few instances where the church was in conflict with science. So embracing AI and learning, yeah, that's an incredible need for us moving forward. One of the things that I actually was in a meeting and someone came and gave a presentation that in our conference, the possibility for us to have real-time interpretation using actually your voice and my voice, if we're speaking, real-time interpretation into any known language that we want, in French, Spanish, Portuguese, all of these different languages, and even Swahili and other languages maybe that aren't as broadly used, in real time, using our own voice inflection for that to happen. I mean, that the possibility of that is absolutely astounding, which excites me. Really is giving us more opportunity to reach people around the world.
Yeah. Mayor Adams of New York, I don't even know if it was 2 weeks ago, he made a lecture, and it was immediately in real time translated to 37 languages with the use of AI. So it's quite amazing what's going on.
Yes, and that kind of technology, like all technology, will become cheaper and cheaper and more available and common. So we'll be using that in our churches and in these conferences. So I think we're probably at the edge of our time limit today, Joe. And I just want to ask you, is there anything in conclusion that you'd like to say to the people that are watching this?
No, it's just been a delight to be with you. I'm excited over USCal, the future of USCal, future of ICAL. The ICAL is just exploding all over the world the right way. We gave it a very simple template of replicatable principles for coalitions to form, and people are running with it without our oversight and direction and connecting to ICAL. And even Papa Kelly was shocked to find out so many coalitions have started just in the last year or two. And that's the way it should be. It's exponential growth, and think it'll last far longer than our lifetime, and it'll continue to grow and develop. So I'm excited over us working together. It's great.
Yes, me too. I echo everything that you're saying and want to thank you for the work that you did in USCal, the work you've done for a long time in ICAL and ICA before that, and in Antioch with John Kelly before that. And our relationship has been a good one, just as two brothers walking together and enjoying each other's company. So I'm looking forward to even more of that. Thank you for everything that you've done in terms of the transition to US Cal, for Nikki and me to be able to step in and lead it. And it was a very easy transition and very easy trajectory to keep moving forward. Thank you for everything you've done, Joe.
Amen. Likewise, my friend. It's been an honor.
All right. God bless you. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.